Warning: the following contains explicit language and subject matter that may not be suitable for younger listeners, church folk, and people who enjoy kale smoothies.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to A Pod Amongst Men. I'm your host, Steve B., and this is Coffee Break Conversations for the 21st Century. Well, my guest today, you guys might know him. He's been on the show before, and big fan of his show. His name is Hesh Jones, one of the three hosts of Three Ninjas podcast, and we got into some nerd stuff today, just talking about growing up, being a nerd, what that even means, and thank you to Hesh for giving us his time and coming on the show. But this is my conversation with Hesh. I hope you guys enjoy it. Obviously, thank you very much for agreeing to do this, bro.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Thank you for actually having me on. I'll do my best to not bore your listeners.
It's okay. If they listen to my last episode, they're probably bored enough as it was. So
that was actually a good. I listened to it, obviously. That was a good one because it was important. You're like, I'm gonna start.
Yeah, I just want to be honest with people. I'm not trying to fucking, to puss out and just avoid uncomfortable shit.
Yeah.
So, but again, thank you for doing this. I know it's, you're already a podcast host, so you're used to this by now. So, do you want to give like a quick little introduction to who you are, like a couple fun facts, just to let the listeners know who I'm speaking to? And in case they don't already know, it's the, the great Bruce Banner.
Bruce Banner, Hesh Jones, from the Three Ninjas podcast, one of three. I'm a nerd, socially awkward, just a regular dude, quiet, nothing special. Like, that's why I was like nervous to do this shit. It's like I don't, really have a whole lot to say.
Well, I would disagree with that. I think your listeners would probably disagree with that too. But no, I mean, listen. We both do podcasts, but at the end of the day, we're still both like regular guys. We both have jobs, and we're not better than anyone. So, but that's what I want to talk about, just like the regular everyday shit that we go through that a lot of other guys do too. Do you want to give like a little backstory, like where you're from exactly? I know everybody, I think by now knows you guys are from Connecticut. But
yep, from Connecticut, town called Bridgeport, Connecticut. For those who know where that is, I believe it's the largest town in the state. Don't quote me because my brain with facts does not, but I'm pretty sure it is. Grew up middle class, super middle class. We weren't poor, definitely not rich. You don't have like summer homes and shit like that. Older sister, just us two, and my parents. So I grew up with both my parents. Regular, normal shit, I guess.
Yeah. So you're lucky on that one. You got me beat.
Yeah.
But what'd you say? Was there anything interesting more, like, I know you said middle class, from Bridgeport, Connecticut. Was there anything interesting about, like, how you grew up in terms of, I don't know, family dynamic, where you went to school, friends, stuff like that?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's just like pretty typical, like your normal type Pokemon,
Yeah, really. Nothing. Nothing crazy. Stands out. Look at my parents are insane, but that's everybody's parents. I think are kind of crazy to a certain extent.
I would agree with that part, definitely. Especially as the years keep going on.
Yeah, the older they get, the crazier they have fucking become. This shit is, and I don't know. It's one of them things where it's like, were they always this crazy? And I just was too young to understand. And now that I'm older, I kind of get it. Like, oh no, you people are insane.
I think it's a little of both. I think it's like they were always crazy, and we definitely didn't notice, and now we're paying attention, but we're also seeing the progression. They're getting way worse too.
Yeah. Plus, I guess, the older we get, the more relaxed they can be because they don't have to be super parenty. Don't have to like keep you in line as much.
Exactly.
So it's like they can let the reins go a bit.
And we stop seeing them as parents and start seeing them as people.
People, yeah.
I remember looking at my dad at one point, like, oh, like,
he's just a dude.
You were a wild boy back in the day.
Yeah.
Like, you're not an authority figure to me anymore. Like,
yeah, just a dude, man.
I remember my dad. That's my stepdad. I call my dad. When I was 21, he took me to Atlantic City for my birthday, just the two of us.
Oh.
So I got to see him in action, drinking, gambling.
Yeah.
And he don't even smoke. He's buying packs of cigarettes and shit, just
Oh, because
hanging
you're
out.
in a casino and shit, so you
Yeah,
can. Yeah.
just ordering 6 drinks at a time and stuff. I'm like, this is not the guy I'm used to, but I kind of like it, you know?
Yeah. When I was 18, yeah, I think it's after I graduated high school. Me and my dad went to Vegas. But my dad is not like your stepdad. He is he's like reserved and sort of, so there wasn't really no drinking. And I was 18, so I couldn't really drink and do any of the debauchery shit. But I had fun though. But it was more of a tourist, so we like the Hoover Dam type of shit. Went to buffets and stuff like that. We didn't like go to strip clubs and get drunk and do stuff like that.
Hey, helicopter rides at the Grand Canyon. You see it the way God
Yeah.
intended.
There's more stuff like that.
You didn't
So I definitely have to go back.
You didn't buy any fake IDs and turn yourself into Nick Papa Giorgio from Yuma.
No, that's not the kind of kid. That's not the kind of kid I was. I wasn't buying fake IDs. I was just like,
I didn't have one either. But it's funny though, like being around like your parents as we start to get older. Like I realized stuff about my dad. Like my dad likes being that guy. Like when he walks in the room, he knows everybody. He slips a guy 20. Take care of this guy. They sit him down. Like that's what he wants. That he wants people to look like, oh, this guy, he must be somebody.
Somebody.
Yeah. But I don't always have that. I mean, it's always nice, especially when people know you somewhere. But
yeah,
I always felt like he was kind of like that was his Achilles heel. Like he had to have that. It was almost like vanity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like
so he would just go all
had
out.
To have everyone love him.
Well, everybody does. I mean, I can't argue with that part. He's one of those guys. He's like the life of the party everywhere you bring him. And my poor mother, she's like, yeah, well, that's Ralph,
Him being him, just sitting there bare, like just nod and just like he's doing his thing.
Yeah, I think she like secretly tries to like take him down a notch at home, and like, he doesn't realize that like what the thing she does is actually a ploy.
Yeah,
like, he just thinks it's just something annoying she does. Like, Rob, why do you always interrupt me when I'm talking? I think she knows exactly what she's doing. She just wants to drive him nuts. As like payback. All right, so you did when you did your intro, you referred to yourself as a nerd.
Yes.
Now, do you recall a certain point in time, like when you first realized, like, oh, you know what, like maybe I'm a little different from these guys out there, playing ball, or these guys, like I like the comics, or do you realize, like, do you remember when that you made that, had that realization in your head, like, okay, like I'm part of this now?
I don't think I don't like think there was like a light switch moment where it's like click. Oh yeah, no, I just sort of, you live your life and you just go through life, and then all of a sudden like, oh, I like video games a little bit more than maybe the more people I know, and I fucking watch cartoons when I'm like way older than I probably should, and I'm like, all that kind of stuff, and it's like, oh, and then with the internet, you start searching through stuff and you find Facebook groups or what, well, before it's like AOL shit and like that, I'm that old when AOL is a thing. You find groups, and now you're obsessed with Dragon Ball Z and shit like that. So it's like, you hear the term and you see the word around, and you're like, oh yeah, no, I think what people say this is, I kind of lean more towards this versus anything else.
I definitely remember, like, I think you're right. Like, you just kind of go through your life and you like the things you like.
Yeah.
But I remember for me, there was a point when I realized it. Like, I didn't just suddenly like everything. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't just pick up, the remote control, turn on DBZ one day. But I remember being in high school. It was my senior year in high school, and I had a class. It was called Programming for Business. And all we did, it was teaching us like C++, like little like basic programming shit. And I would have failed the class. Technically, I did fail because I didn't turn in any assignments, and it was because they had internet access on the computers. So I spent the entire semester. Every time I would go in that class, I would just go up to the Star Wars database online. It was like the Star Wars Wikipedia. I would just read everything. I would just read it. The whole class. I didn't turn in not one assignment. Yeah. And it wasn't like it was a bad class. The teacher was cool.
Yeah.
I was just, and I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, I spent this whole time reading Star Wars stuff. Like, no, I'm a nerd. Like, I may not have gone to any of the cons yet, but I fit the bill.
Yeah.
I don't have I'm not walking around in a Babylon 5 t-shirt, but but I just remember that feeling like, oh, okay, so this is not like, like back in the day, people hear the word nerd, they think, oh, you wear glasses and a pocket protector and, calculus and stuff. It's like a totally different meaning nowadays.
Especially now, too. I mean,
Well, it's so like prevalent in pop culture, you know. It's not just relegated to the weirdos off in the fringes. So, what were your favorite things? Like, what did you watch that like, especially when you were first kind of coming up?
So I mean, Dragon Ball Z obviously is probably the biggest thing. I mean, that's like most of the friends I have now, we bonded over that. Yu Yu Hakusho. I mean, so I have an older sister. She's 3 years and some, like 4 years older than me. So whatever she would do, I would do. So I'd follow her around and stuff. Cause so she's kind of a nerd too. So she was like into Sailor Moon. So when I was young, I was watching Sailor Moon. I remember Samurai Pizza Cats. Like all the stuff that's sort of, the different Power Rangers. I mean, I think most kids my age were into Power Rangers, but I was obsessed with Power Rangers.
I remember being in third grade, coming in on the first day of school, and I had some like dollar store like knockoff Power Rangers like necklace. Yeah. Had like a little action figure on it. And then one kid in my class, he told me, like, "Hey man, these fourth graders are beating people up for wearing that stuff. I wouldn't have that out." Like, that's a thing. Like, I didn't realize that actually happened.
It's like, oh, you're gonna beat me up for wearing Power Rangers?
Yeah, I was like, where's my morpher? I need something. I need some backup.
Yeah. I mean, so when the X-Men cartoon was pretty big when Definitely. I was young. I remember I had the Blackbird jet toy. I remember I got that one for Christmas. That was amazing. Going insane with that shit. Yeah,
Do you remember a show called Exo Squad?
That sounds vaguely familiar.
They used to. I don't know what the channel numbers are by you, but it was Channel 9. I think it was UPN. They used to show it in the mornings, and it was these guys. They were basically in the future, and they had these like big like robotic suits they would wear. They called E-frames, and they would they have like wars in space. It was kind of like think of like Blade Runner, like the whole thing how they made the replicants, or there was like almost like another race of people, and they were at war. It was kind of like that, where the humans created this race of people called Neo Sapiens.
Oh shit! I do remember this.
Oh, you're looking at it right now?
Yeah, I looked it up. Yeah, the internet. I do remember this. Shit!
Me and my friends in like third and fourth grade were obsessed with that.
Yeah. Oh shit! 93. Wow.
Right, that was a good ass show, man.
Yeah. I mean, even I remember all that stuff like the Ghostbusters cartoon used to come on. What was it? Extreme, was it Extreme that came on after?
Extreme.
That's the one they had. That's the one where they redid the cast. They had like a guy in a wheelchair, a black guy, and I think it was a female. Like it was like they like took over the mantle. It was Extreme. It was,
Oh, Extreme Ghostbusters.
Yeah, Extreme Ghostbusters. Yeah.
No, I never saw that one. For whatever reason, when you're saying, I'm thinking of like the Burger King Kids Club.
Oh, wow.
They had the kid in the wheelchair. His name was Wheels. I was like, all right, that's a little on the nose, but I
remember that. And the blonde kid with like the spiky hair. I remember that.
Yep. There was a redhead kid. There's the black kid, and it was always like the token like diversity characters,
It's the 90s. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, at least it was. I feel like it was well intentioned.
Yeah.
Some of that's
the best they could.
Some of that, I was just talking to my apprentice at work about like Marvel Comics. How nowadays, a lot of the characters have changed. Whereas like Iron Man isn't Iron Man. Like now they have Riri Williams as Ironheart. Yeah. Amadeus Cho is the Hulk. They have Sam Wilson's Captain America.
Captain America. Yep.
And we were kind of like we were trying to figure out like, do we really think they did it just for to show like, hey, look how diverse we are, like, kind of like a virtue signaling thing. Because I don't read the comics that much, and I wasn't sure like if it was like a pandering thing or if it was legit. Because I know the Sam Wilson part I know was already going on, like, and they already had like, didn't they have Kamala Khan was Miss Marvel?
Miss Marvel, yeah.
So it was all these different characters, which I mean I think is cool, just on face value that they kind of showing, hey, we're not just a bunch of white guys who can fly, What was your Go ahead.
I think, depends on, you could take whatever you take. I think some of it might have been, hey, look how progressive we are. Look, Thor's a woman now. But, we have a black Captain America. Miss Marvel is a Muslim. And, me personally, I don't have a problem with it. I I could see how some people would have a problem with that. But the thing was, for a majority of those other characters, it's not like they killed off all those other characters and they didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
They existed together, maybe in limited capacity, because I think Tony Stark became more like an advisor to Riri and stuff like that. But I can understand why people would be upset about that, but it never bothered me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. We were just kind of having like basically a nerd debate,
Yeah.
where neither of us was really invested in either.
Yeah.
We were just kind of like, what do you think? I don't know. I mean, I know when you guys, especially on the show, you talked about they introduced us 2 new characters. There was like Snowflake and
Snowflake.
Like, that
and
was
safe
real.
space. Yeah, egregious. Like, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
now we see what you're doing. Like, so obviously some of it's got to be like pandering. But obviously too, as we say, representation matters, right?
Absolutely.
There's little black kids reading this. There's little Spanish kids reading this. There's trans kids reading these comic books. So it'd be nice for them to see somebody who reflects what they have in their real life. So I understand the idea of trying to be all inclusive. So that's why I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, like we were talking. I was saying I could never really have a problem with them if their intentions are good. You know what I mean? Whether or not the execution is as good as we'd like, as they're trying to do the right thing, I think. And
yeah, this seems like it.
But that you're right though. That stuff definitely matters. The representation matters a lot.
Yeah.
Like I mean, when we were young, how many black superheroes were there? Like that, at least that people actually cared about,
or that
I mean?
you could see, like thinking back, like Storm was an X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure I have the memory of a brick. So if I,
but I mean,
I'm sure there's a few. There's examples, I'm sure, but they're very few and far in between.
Yeah, like Black Panther was around, Luke Cage was around, but they were obscure.
Yeah.
I feel like now they are able to bring those characters to the forefront and make them, they're awesome. Like my son dressed up as Black Panther for Halloween. Like, you know what I mean? Like I think that's a huge step forward.
Yeah, like if you weren't super into comics, you probably had no idea who those characters are.
Oh, of course.
Now, my mom knows who Black Panther is. So it's like steps, baby steps.
For Halloween, I told the story on an older episode of the podcast, but for Halloween last year, I dressed up as my wife was dressed as Captain Marvel, like in the normal street clothes with the 9 Inch Nails shirt. Yeah, and I was dressed as Nick Fury at the end of Captain America 2, and he's like incognito with the sunglasses and the
beanie on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But no, like we went to the party, and she didn't even end up wearing her costume, so I was dressed up, and I shaved my beard into an actual like goatee like this.
Yeah.
So it was just for the costume, and it really didn't look good like while walking around. And I had like a little scar painted on like underneath the sunglasses. So we went to the party, and nobody else like was dressed up, and I looked a little ridiculous. Like I didn't look like I was in costume. I just looked like a weird guy.
Yeah. Well, at least I guess it's good that you went with like a street clothes version of the character. You didn't go full costume up, so you can kind of be like, oh no, this is just I wanted to do something different. I just want to do something a little different.
It's not a good look for me, the goatee. I look too much like my biological father, and I'm not trying to shoot for that.
Okay.
But I remember, like, they were asking me, oh, is that a costume? I was like, yeah, it's a costume. Yeah. Like, it's not, what do you think this is? It's not an eyelash on here. It's a scar I painted on. And it was a mess. And, of course, I was, like, the only guy who didn't speak fluent Spanish. So they're all conversing in Spanish, and I'm
sort of just sitting there, like, in my costume, feeling even more awkward on top of everything.
Yeah, I felt very uncomfortable.
Yeah, that had to be great.
I was getting into that with my wife because, like, when she has her friends over, everybody's just talking in Spanish because it's easier for them. And I keep up for the first like 15 minutes, and after that, like,
gone.
It's too much brain power. I'm tired, and I just start like falling asleep. I go to bed, and everybody's still awake. Like, what are you 6 years old? Like, it's 10 o'clock, bro. All right. Anyway, I got way off track there.
Yeah.
We were talking about favorite franchises and stuff.
Yeah.
So what was the stuff was there anything that stayed with you from the time when you were young to the time like to now? Like for me, it was always Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
Because I liked it when it first came out, and I still like it today. So,
I mean, obviously, we were just playing Pokemon last night, so Pokemon is still part of my life. I mean, video games, Halo. Halo's been a big thing. That's
that was huge for me at one point.
Yeah, me and my friends on the original Xbox had to like I forgot what the hell the service was because on the original Xbox, Halo 1 didn't actually have multiplayer. You had to like do some jerry rigging bullshit with the computer. Yeah, it didn't have live or anything like so. You had to like plug it through a laptop, and there was like some random other website that would let you. So we would run LAN parties.
I did the same one, bro. I did the same one.
So my friend, him and his brother, their rooms were upstairs and they're like across the hall. So we'd have like 4 people in one room, 4 people in the other room, and we just going back and forth, cursing at each other, screaming. You know, fucking that was.
Those were the most fun. We had a bunch of those in my day. I bought like the fucking 200-foot long Ethernet cable so we can connect all the routers together.
Yep.
And that was the most amazing thing too. I remember when Halo 1 first came out, like just fucking around, cruising around the map, just looking at the landscape and like the design of everything. Like, holy shit, like this is huge. And now that's nothing compared to what we have. You know. What was it? I mean, everybody played GoldenEye back in the day too, right?
Yep, of course, GoldenEye. Mm-hmm. Zelda has been something I've stuck with since like Ocarina of Time. Mario here and there, you know.
So there was one that I played on PS1 that I was obsessed with, and it just never really seemed to catch on. It's called Legend of Dragoon.
I heard of it. I don't think I've ever played it.
It was like 4 discs long.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know, the RPG like turn-based style, but the attack system was different. So instead of just pressing a button for an attack, it was like you had a square and another square, and it would spin, and as they eventually lined up,
you had to like try to time the attack.
Exactly. So you have to sequence the whole thing, and it was a cool system.
Yeah,
so it kept it interesting. But that was a great game, and they never there was no sequel, nothing. It just didn't take off in the U.S.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. There's lots of games like that where in Japan it's like the biggest deal ever, and here it's like nothing.
Yeah. So, hang on. Let me look at my notes here. What do I have?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So one of the things I wanted to ask. Now I talked about this with other guys who were in like bands and musicians. You know, they have like that whole like the emo kid circle at school and everything. Like, it seemed to me like being a nerd or being into metal music or something like that, that would always be its own little category where you're separate from the jocks and whatever. But do you really think that there's any kind of difference between like us liking, say, video games versus the jocks liking football? So think about it this way: like, you watch football on TV, you know your team is whatever, the Giants. You know all the stats, you know all the players, you know what their playbook looks like. You're sitting there, you're making bets, playing fantasy football, all this stuff. But in practicality, how is that different from us maybe knowing, you know, Pokemon, or I know the moves of this guy, I know how to set up my team? Like, don't you think it seems kind of like the same thing, and society just deems one acceptable and one not?
I mean, yeah, it is the same thing. I mean, I've seen people talk how like fantasy football is basically like, was it like Dungeons and Dragons? Like, you're keeping stat points and you're like tracking shit. Like, it's essentially the same thing. I mean, it's all being obsessed with something to the point where it consumes part of your life to a certain extent, or like you're super focused, or it's like something that you really enjoy. I mean, that's really, I think, what it is. What being a nerd is like you found something that you really enjoy, and you just dive deep into it. Like, that's what it is, really. So you could be a nerd about football, you could be a nerd about basketball, you could be a nerd about Dragon Ball Z, you could be a nerd about fucking Pokemon, you could be a nerd about Panzer Dragon, you know, anything.
I think you're right. I think the word nerd, I think, gets mixed up and lost a lot because we just associate it with cartoons and video games. Yeah. But really, it could be anything. You could be a nerd for fucking Magnum PI. You know, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, like if you're
I mean, that'd be a weird one, but, you know.
Yeah, if you're on a Wikipedia from Magnum PI every day, reading up, obsessed about every episode from Heart for Heart, you're a nerd about that.
Just a mustache enthusiast, you know.
I like Hawaiian shirts, man. What can I say?
What do you want me to do? Me and my friend, he flies a helicopter, I get a good view. I don't have to sit in traffic. Anyway, that was always something that bothered me too, because a lot of the guys, especially sports, not everybody obviously, but there's some guys that are like, you know, athletes and into sports and stuff. They were always like the biggest assholes, I feel like, in terms of making fun of anybody who liked something that wasn't deemed cool. You know, I remember my dad made fun of me one time because I was still I was in high school, and you know, Pokemon was still big at the time. Yeah, he was making fun of me for like, what are you playing, Pokemon? I was like, you know, why don't you just leave me the fuck alone, man? Like, let me go to my room. Like, I didn't do anything to you.
Yeah, yeah. It's I don't know because it's one of them things. There's just well, first off, kids are just assholes anyway, right? So
Oh, this is my dad. He was a
yeah,
grown
well,
ass
true.
man.
Well, people are just assholes. How about
Yes.
that? Sometimes, and if it's easy for people to be dismissive of things they don't quite get or understand. They don't see the value in it. So to them, it's something stupid or it's just for kids. So what are you doing playing this game? It's for kids. It's stupid. But like, so you're like, no, this is fun. It's a way to pass my time. I'm not doing stuff that's hurting nobody. I'm not out here fucking smoking crack. Or, I'm like playing Pokemon. I'm catching Pokemon and stuff. I'm like minding my own business and being cool and like not bothering anybody. But to people, they look down on it because I think they have a skewed perception, especially with video games. They have a skewed perception that video games are strictly for children. Which
No, we both know that's not the case at all.
I mean, even animation, just in general, the idea of if the picture is moving now, suddenly it's for kids when that's also not the fact. Because I can show you 5 different shows that I wouldn't suggest you play for your young child, and that's not even like in a pornographic way. That's just like there's violence or the story is super mature and there's like this stuff that maybe you wouldn't want your kid to see quite yet, like So
well, that's always another big thing is that people see animated shows and that even if you don't really think it, that first like built-in reaction is like what it's like a kid's show and oh no they're talking about fucking and killing that
drugs, sex, death, life, anything. I mean, especially anime, there's a million different type of shows you could find anything to fill that niche you're looking for.
I remember the first time I saw Ninja Scroll. I was like, oh, this shit is real.
I know. Yeah.
What would you say your favorite anime movie is? Because I know mine, and it's kind of a cliche one, but it's. For good reason.
Ninja Scroll's up there because that's one of the first that I saw. Princess Mononoke, Akira,
that's mine.
And then was it Tenchi in Japan? For whatever reason, I don't know why I liked it. I think it's the movie where he goes back in time and like meets his mom or something like that. And I don't know, for whatever reason, that was like always stuck in my head.
I remember when I first saw Akira, and like, especially like the end when you see him losing control of his powers, like oh my god, like this is dark, bro.
Yeah, not for kids per se
at all.
Yeah,
I heard a rumor that they were trying to do a live action version of that.
As far as I'm aware, they are. I have no idea how far along it's going.
Did we talk about this when we did the joint episode?
We might have.
I feel like we might have.
We talk about so much stuff I can't.
It's a blur.
And as soon as it's like one of the things, like we'll do a show. As soon as we're done with the show, you could ask me what we talked about, and I couldn't tell you. It goes in and it's just gone.
Absolutely, I do it all the time, and I don't know. I forget about things that I just talked about. Like I had something on the tip of my tongue, and I forgot to bring it up, and
gone.
Now I can't. Yeah, now I can't remember it at all.
It's gone. It
It
happens to me so much. It's fucking sickening. Oh man.
So one of the things with like nerddom, so to speak, is we hear about like this like online gaming and like not chat rooms, but like message boards and comment sections. They're like such a toxic place. I mean, the internet itself is pretty toxic, but it seems to me like a lot of like the people, especially we go online play Call of Duty. Like I think you guys might have talked about this past week.
Yeah, we definitely just talked about that.
This is why it was fresh in my head. But what do you think it is about this that makes it so? I don't know that it attracts so many fucking assholes.
Oh, easy. What's the word? I'm gonna mess it up. Anonymity? Yes. I knew I was gonna mess it up because you can just put a picture of a dog, and my name is Fish Kicker 3, and then like you can just do whatever you want, and you can say whatever you want, and there's no repercussions for it. I can be whoever I want. I can say whatever I want, and I think a lot of the times some people don't even mean some of the stuff they say. They just say it because they know they can say it and get away with it.
I think that's a big thing too. I think that sometimes people, especially when you're doing like competitive gaming, you're playing against people, you get emotions running high, getting hot. Like, you just want to say the worst thing
you can think.
You just want to, like, and what was it? There's comedian Scarface. You ever heard of him?
No.
He had a bit about how, like, when you're driving, it brings all the racism out of you. I'm not going to recite it on here because, but he was talking about driving, getting into an argument with an Asian guy.
Yeah.
He said, He said, I hit him with the good curses, the racist curses, and he came back at me, and he didn't even know how to curse, but he was feeling it. He's like, fucking you, suck it in the eye, and the mother, and fucking you. And he's like, oh shit, man, okay, you win. But it was like an interesting idea, though, that you get in these certain.
I don't understand.
I'm not talking to you, asshole.
Siri wants to get in there too.
That's not even Siri. That's my Google. That's been doing that a lot lately. But I don't know. What was I saying? It was it's like being in those certain situations. I think sometimes people say what they feel is the worst thing, and a lot of times the racist thing is the worst thing. And it's the whole, like you said, the anonymity, being behind the keyboard. You know, you could say whatever you want. You just got the headset on. You don't see who you're talking to. There's no real world threat of getting your ass kicked.
No repercussions. Like, you can say whatever you want, because like you could. So like if you said that to somebody's face, there's a chance they'll punch you in your face. Mm-hmm. You say it over a keyboard. What is it gonna do? Just type back at you? Like what are you gonna do? Yeah. Say it over Xbox Live. What it's gonna do? Just yell at you. But I can just mute you. Like there's no repercussions to your actions, so I can just say and do what I want. So that's why
I think people have also that proclivity for trolling, where they just want to see somebody get mad. They want to know, I got the best of him. I got a rise out of him. Yep. I don't know, but I feel like that is a lot more common now, especially with the anonymity that people have all the time. Like, do you see it a lot?
Well, me personally, no, because I curated my social media feeds where I don't necessarily have to interact with people, and as you heard on the show, I don't do a whole lot of like multiplayer gaming on Xbox Live type of stuff. So most of the stuff I play is like solo play, so I don't have to like interact with people on the internet. On Twitter, I follow some people, and like sometimes they'll post something that's some stupid somebody say. I'm like, oh, like why would you think that's like cool to say? But like personally, I don't have to like actually interact with it. Our fans are pretty cool, so we haven't had any problems with like seeing stuff like that yet. Knock on wood. If we get bigger, maybe that might become a problem later on, but we'll have to deal with that when we have to deal with it.
Oh, you guys are gonna blow up. Don't worry.
Fingers crossed.
We got to shout out to Angelo. Have him put turn Charlemagne on to you guys. You guys are right up his alley.
Maybe.
I actually experienced racism. I played Fortnite online once. And I only did it once, or at least once with the headphones where you actually hear people. Yeah. And I got, they were saying very derogatory Japanese things to me. Yeah. No, like because they thought I was Japanese because of my screen name. Like not realizing anything because I didn't have a mic. I'm
not Japanese. Yeah.
Yeah. Because my username was Orokusaki.
Yeah.
So they were like, he's fucking Japanese, like saying all this like
crazy
messed up stuff. I'm like, God damn. This is my first time and already you guys are doing this shit? Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Fortnite. You don't know who that guy is. You don't know that's Tim from down the street or whoever. Like, I can say what I want. Can't do anything about it.
But we see a lot of this stuff, and aside even from gaming, like, too. I mean, there was the whole, years ago, there was the Gamergate kind of scandal, and then there was the stuff with the Captain Marvel movie, and, like...
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's one of them things where I try to like see things, like I try to be like a measured person in my responses to most stuff. But so to me, it seems so far stretched to be so mad about some of that stuff. Like I don't understand how you can just like be that angry and say those kind of things about stuff. Like to me, it's like, oh, they made this character a woman. Okay, cool. Yeah. I don't care. Like so now, why are you mad? Why are you mad at Captain Marvel for existing? Like,
I never understood that argument. Like, oh, you ruined this because you ruined my childhood. Like, what are you talking about? They're not erasing the old movie. They're not erasing the comic book. The thing you love is still there as the thing you love. Exactly. Like, this is just something separate. Like, why does that have to be a personal attack on your identity as a human being?
I never got that. I
don't either.
I don't know. I don't know what it is about me. I guess that stuff doesn't bother me. It's like, sure, you could see like some Captain Marvel, watch the movie and maybe not like the movie, but why are you mad that it exists or mad that they're trying to empower women? There haven't been like a lot of women superhero movies, so let the movie exist. Why are you mad about it? Yeah. Why are you gonna critique bomb the movie before you even actually see the movie? Like that's the kind of stuff is like weird to me. It's like, how do you even say the movie's? Yeah, you didn't even see the movie. How do you know it's bad? Because Brie Larson said that maybe they should have more. What was it? I forgot exactly what it was like. Have more women interviewers or have more black interviewers. She said something like that was progressive and like not crazy. And I think the way she worded, I think she's like she doesn't want to talk to like white male interviewers or maybe something like that, which is what it was. But it was like if you actually listen to what she was saying, like it wasn't like an insane concept. I think she might have worded it wrong. Is probably what the problem was.
Yeah, messaging makes
Yeah,
a
messaging
difference
does
sometimes.
messaging does matter. Yes, that is very important. Messaging, but but you could also choose to like actually try to understand what the person's point was too.
Well, yeah, that's another big thing. A lot of these guys, they see it as an attack on their identity because, like, the comic books, like, they're so invested in that. Like, they went so deep down that rabbit hole that anything that changes the thing they love is like, no, it's life changing. It's life altering. Like, you can't move. You can't change that. You can't add another Ninja Turtle. Like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, I guess they're not secure in themselves and they put all their value into this outside thing, right? So then if you make the outside thing different than what they identify with, then you're attacking them. You're changing. And
well, it's just like religion and politics. That was why we never talked about it back in the day, because if you say anything, that's disagreeable about somebody's religion or their political ideas, then that's part of who they are. That's what makes them. That's what makes me Jim. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, so that's like an attack on their person almost.
Yeah.
And it has the same kind of responses in the brain too. Like they did, I was reading an article where like they were watching brain activity, and when you say something like if you're a Republican and I was saying something bad about Donald Trump, and you were like, the reaction in your brain is the same as if I was physically trying to fight you.
Oh, I did not know that.
I mean, listen, I'm not a scientist, so I might be misinterpreting the whole thing. But I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But that's what it is. Like those things certain things that we make them part of who we are. So it's like they're unassailable. You can't say anything about that.
Yeah, but life is about change a little bit, right? You gotta be willing to change a bit.
I agree 100%. I'm just saying that. I'm just demonstrating how they're fucked up. But I agree. I mean, I don't hold anything that near and dear to my heart unless it's like my family.
Yeah, like important things, like things that like my mom, my dad, my sister, like think like you changed the cartoon. Okay, I like that cartoon. Maybe I don't like this change. I'm not gonna go on the internet and type a fucking manifesto about it or something. Like I'm just like, oh, that sucks. I'll check it out. Do I like it? No. Guess I'm not gonna watch it anymore. And then my life goes on. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. What do you think though about? What's the link now between like people into like that are so-called nerds that are into these kind of fandoms and stuff, and the whole like the social like isolation? Even a lot of these guys, they don't really have friends to hang out with outside of being in these game or the groups. I don't know, you have your team or whatever on like Call of Duty or Destiny or something, but it's like how can I word this? How prevalent do you think this is? Like these, like the guys that don't really have a life outside of those things. They're just probably why they're so defensive about them.
I think maybe more so. I don't know. It depends on when you ask me. I would have said that maybe it's not as bad, but I think maybe now, with the implementation of the internet as much as part of people's lives, where like everything is through your phone, you don't really have to interact with human beings anymore. If you don't want to, you can Amazon everything. You can Uber Eats everything. Like now the divide between people is getting bigger and bigger. Like so.
Especially with the quarantine.
Especially quarantine now, but I think it's really prevalent because a lot of that stuff is, solo activity stuff. Like, excuse me, if you read comic books, you're not doing that with your as a group. I mean, you can. I mean, obviously, I'm sure there's people who do that, but like generally, you're gonna buy your comics, you're gonna go home, you're gonna read that, or you can download them at your house. You can just read them in home. Most video games you can play by yourself. You don't actually need to interact with people. Couch co-op stuff doesn't exist anymore. Like you're not. Having your friends come to your house and playing it. No, everything's to the internet. So I do think it's become more prevalent because it's easier to be distant from people.
You just couch co-op. It reminded me of when Halo 2 first came out right now.
Yeah.
Me and my boy George, what we did, my friend George, we got the game. We went to the midnight release of it in the mall. So we were in community college at the time. So we took off of class the next day and we went and we played through the whole game. Like, didn't leave the house. So we sat there all day and just finished the whole thing.
Yeah, that's what me and my friends used to do too. We'd fucking just midnight release, come home, get on Xbox Live or get on whatever, and just play as much as we could play. Like I remember when the first Destiny came out, we did that, all that stuff.
How many have you gone to a lot of the midnight releases?
I mean, obviously, first off, I don't think they even do them that much anymore. But yeah, I've been to way more than I probably should have in retrospect in life. Like, do you really need to stand outside of a GameStop at midnight for a game that you just come in the morning and pick up?
Yeah.
And are those extra 3 hours you're gonna play gonna really make the biggest difference in your life? No, but it was fun, and and then that's the other thing. And then you get to go and you see other people, and you know what they're there for, and everybody's sort of a good mood, and it's sort of a crazy experience. But does I need to do it? No.
Yeah. I remember. I think the last couple ones. This is going back a little bit. I did it for Halo 4, and I did it for Batman Arkham Origins.
I can't remember the last one I went to. It's been a while now, because I buy most of my games digital. I buy my games digitally now, so I don't even have to go to the store. I'm one of those people who stays in the house. Damn, it's been a long time. It must have been like a Halo. I think.
Did you do it for Halo Guardians?
Yeah, not What's the one that had Locke in it? Was that Guardians?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I did that.
That was Mike Coulter.
Yeah, Mike Coulter. But but the funny thing is, I think I went to go get it, but I didn't even get it for myself. I was getting it for my friend because he was working, and he was like working overnight or like later than to be able to actually go get it. So I went and picked it up for him. I remember that, and I think that's the last time I actually went to one.
Yeah, I did it for the last one was Arkham Origins, and I was kind of disappointed in it. I'm like, I'm not doing this shit anymore.
Like, it's not worth it. I just play. I could just walked in at 9:00, walked out and went home, and started playing.
I remember for one of I think it was for Halo 4. It came out like right before Election Day or something, and for my union they give us off for presidential elections. Oh, so really? it was like Obama's second term, and I remember I gotta go. I'm just gonna play all day, but I'll go vote in the afternoon. And I remember like the sun was going down, and I was like, "Oh shit, I gotta go." Yeah.
Forgot what the fuck he's doing.
Forgot my rights as a citizen.
Yeah, that's the stuff I don't do anymore because I'm getting older. And
vote?
No, vote. Vote. I do. I vote. No, like playing video games all day. Like I don't do that as much as I used to, and I miss it kind of. But it's also like, no, you should get up and go do something.
Yeah,
and go outside a little bit.
I mean, it's fun to indulge once in a while.
Yeah.
Like the last time I really did like heavy was for Skyrim.
Oh.
And I remember I just took a day off of work. I was like, listen, I have a free day. I'm taking it. So I played all day and like didn't even eat. And I was like, I should probably like take care of myself a little bit.
I remember one Halo 2. I remember like I got up on like a Saturday one day, I don't know, like 9:00, and I just played the whole thing. All day, to however long it took me, like 6-7 hours, however long it took. Don't do stuff like that anymore, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, like for me, obviously having a family,
you can't.
Is the big reason why, because I probably would still do it. I think before my wife, before we got married, before she moved up here, I'm pretty sure I did it at least one day for one of the Dynasty Warriors games.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Like I tried, but then like after a while, I'm like, okay, I
feel guilty.
Yeah, it's like I gotta go do something with my life a little bit. Yeah. Go outside. Go to just go to the store, get something to drink, or stop, or even if I'm not leaving the house, I'm like, okay, stop and just get up and watch TV or something. Like I don't spend the whole time just playing games.
Yeah. Well, some of these games are like they're dangerous, bro. Like they're so deep and they're so you get so wrapped up in it. It's crazy. Yeah. You could lose yourself for a while.
Yeah, I know you just were talking about Skyrim. I was thinking like I can't wait till Elder Scrolls 6 come out. I don't know when it's coming out, but I'm talking about maybe that might be the game where I get back in because I played so much Skyrim, Oblivion. I started, Fall. All those games like that. I love because you just play for hours, just exploring, going through caves, and just get lost and just don't even do story.
Every time I go back to that game, like I'm discovering new stuff. I'm like, I can't believe like I still didn't finish everything. Like it's insane.
Have you tried playing the Elder Scrolls Online?
I did not. How is it?
Yeah, I played a little bit. So I played it when it very first came out. It was fine. Now I have no idea. It could be like a whole nother type of game because the expansions and that kind of stuff are probably a
How
whole
much?
different monster.
How similar was it to Skyrim? Like the same type of
It
thing,
was
or
mildly similar. The only from what I remember because I don't know, 5 years ago now maybe. The only thing that was different that I didn't like was the way the bows were because they changed the way the bows work, and that bothered me because I like to use the bow and arrow.
I always use the bow and arrow.
Yeah, but it wasn't like how you can like pull it back and then it'll zoom in. You can line up your shot. It was weird. It was different. I didn't like it. And that was part of the reason I was like, yeah, I'm not really doing this anymore.
I was a little scared to get into anything new like that because Skyrim had such a hold on me for a while.
Yeah.
Like,
And it's an MMO, so you can just play that forever and ever
Yeah.
and ever and ever and ever and never stop.
So no thanks. Yeah, we were talking about staying home, being kind of isolated, just doing stuff solo. Now, I know like on your show, like Dom breaks your balls a lot of times about, being socially uncomfortable and socially awkward and stuff like that. Like, is that like, how legit is that for you? Is that really like a thing? Like, because I know for me, for instance, I had a thing like I would get like I'd be out. I would love going out places, but sometimes I would get randomly uncomfortable. Like, but like really uncomfortable. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I'm like, I gotta leave. Like, I can't be here right now. Like, how real is it for you?
So so on the show, I don't know. I do play up a little bit, but it's pretty big deal for me. So I don't, like I can leave the house. I don't like big crowds if I don't have
like
to.
agoraphobic.
No, I'm not agoraphobic or stuff like that, but I don't really like big crowds. I don't like the bar I go to. I like to go to the bar because it's a dive. It's a shithole. I don't want to be in a bar where there's a lot of people. I hate having to like squeeze through people just to go to the bathroom. I don't like any of that kind of stuff. I don't really like interacting with strangers as much as possible. So
well, nothing you've said so far has been particularly crazy.
Yeah, no. So I mean, I don't think it's crazy. So I mean, but so I do play it up. But yeah, no, I don't. But I do. It does make me uncomfortable, like talking to strangers. I don't talk to people at work, like that kind of. When that kind of stuff is where it's a little. Okay, yeah, it's a little weird from people. Like I remember. It takes me very long. I think it takes me a really long time to get comfortable with people. So if I'm not really comfortable, I don't really talk. And half the time I really don't have anything important to say. And if I don't have anything important to say, I just won't say anything. So I remember at one of my old jobs, just this lady at my job, she's like, I remember we used to work, you would never talk to me. And now you thought I was like, yeah, well, And it's not like a personal thing. It's just like, if you don't come up to me and talk to me, I'll try not to be rude. I try not to be a rude person, but if you don't talk to me, I'm not going to talk to you. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to go to my little corner and just do what I got to do, and then I'm going to just go home. Like, if you don't say anything to me, I'm not going to say anything to you.
But I think everything you just said, though, nothing in that seems particularly
crazy.
Odd. Because I do the exact same thing. Like, I can be friendly with people. I'll say hi to people, but I like working alone. I don't like, talking to people all day. I like doing my own thing. So I always, I seek out the kind of like assignments of work where I can work literally alone, like on a floor by myself, just like doing layout, reading blueprints and stuff. But like, I don't like going to crowded bars either. I don't like being fucking pressed up around a million people. You can't get a drink. You can't go piss. Like, you know what I mean? Everybody stepping on your shoes and shit, spilling drinks on your shoulder. Like, I never liked that either. I don't understand why some of those things. What the fuck was that?
I think someone outside of my house is like doing lawn work.
Oh.
Yeah, and it is very loud. Sorry.
It like buzzed in for a second. I thought Zoom was trying to tell us something.
No, sorry. Yeah, but then when I have to, and then I think the other thing is when I do have to like get social, me personally, internally, I'm like freaking out. Like that's where it gets to. So like when we did Blurred Con last year, and I had to hand out name tags or whatever, and that's a simple thing, but I'm sitting there and I did not want to do that. Like I don't want, like it's I'm like I don't want to, because that means I have to talk to strangers, I have to interact with people, and I'm out here freaking out, but it's like I got to do it, like I'm doing this thing. So then the whole time I'm freaked out, and it makes me uncomfortable, and it's like I just want to get out of here. I don't want to do this. I don't want to.
But you did it though, right?
Yes, I did it because.
But that's the difference. That right there. You felt the discomfort. You were uncomfortable. You were maybe nervous or having anxiety, but you still did it. It wasn't like a crippling thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think at times it probably can be, but also, I think situationally it's like, well, I got to do this thing. We're doing this thing, and we spent this money to come here and do this thing. What I'm gonna do is just run out of this room and go back to my room and just like so it's like in the moment it's like, okay, I got to do this, and it's good for us what we're trying to do, and I have to do some of this stuff. Like, I get that, but like me personally, if I had the choice, I wouldn't do any of this shit. Like that's my personal preference. Well, I wouldn't say any of this shit. Let me not be that extreme about it, but like the interacting with the people stuff, I don't like. All I want to do is make the content,
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Yeah.
I know for me, a lot of like, especially going back to when I was single, a lot of times just like talking to women was a big one, and that's one for a lot of guys. Like.
Oh yeah,
and it's the easiest thing in the world, and like in your mind, like I know how to do it. I know,
just a person.
Yeah, it's just another human being. But for some reason, like you get in your own way. You know what I mean? Like it's like
you put pressure on yourself because
you put the pussy up on a pedestal.
Well, I mean that and is that, and then you just want, and in general, with regular conversation, you want the conversation to go well.
Mm-hmm.
You want the interaction to go well. So then, like for me, I am like the king of like overthinking everything. So in my head, I'm like, I want the interaction to go well. Am I being weird? Can they tell that I'm super uncomfortable? Is it showing in my face? And then like these are all the things that's running in my head when I'm trying to have a conversation. So I don't feel like I'm ever like, I guess I'm never like really in just having with anyone unless and again, that's why I say I think if I know you, I get comfortable. It's easier for me to like have a conversation with you. But if I don't know you, then it's like I'm thinking a million fucking different things while I'm trying to have a conversation with you. And it's like I feel like I'm being awkward even if I'm not, and then I think me thinking I'm being awkward actually ends up making me be awkward.
So 100%.
Like
you create, it's a self-fulfilling cycle.
Like I make the issue, and then it's like one thing I can't like shut it off. Like I'm like, just relax, but I don't.
It's amazing how that shit can just snowball inside your head too. Because I've had it where, like you said, like you think like, all right, now don't overthink it. It's like, well, I'm overthinking it right now by saying that, and then you're like, well, fuck, now I'm not saying anything. I'm just thinking, and then it's too much silence.
Yeah. And then again, I always say like, and plus I never have anything interesting to say, and I hate. The other thing is I really hate small talk. I don't really care about the weather. I don't really care about. So it's like, and that's what most initial conversations are with most people. It's small talk. Like you're not talking about your hopes and dreams with a stranger. You're just like talking about.
Some people do.
Some people do. Most people don't though. Like
most people don't.
Yeah. So it's like the weather. Yeah, cool.
Have you ever had the problem where people like just tell you the most like personal things like out of nowhere? Like
that's definitely happened to me. Yeah, I'm like that's definitely happened. If you freak in a bar, people are usually drinking and they're a little drunk. So that's definitely happened. I've definitely sat there and had somebody say some wild shit. I'm like, I'm not sure how I'm supposed to respond to that. So I'm gonna be like, cool. I'm gonna just go back to my drink now. Good luck with that.
You know what a common one I've found people talk about? If it's like, say somebody just had like maybe like somebody they cared about just passed away or something like that, they're always like right there. It's always like on the tip of their tongue. Yep. And it's like that part of the grieving process where it's like
they gotta talk about it.
Exactly. And I don't know, maybe I've just met a lot of the people at those points in their lives, but like people tell me, I'm like, hey, how you doing? It's like, my mom just passed. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, bro. Like,
I'm sorry. I was just trying to say hi.
But, listen, I gotta go take a shit. Like, it's coming out.
Yeah.
But
like, this isn't the time. I am sorry, and I mean that sincerely. But I gotta go.
I'm gonna be a lot more sorry if I shit on myself in front of everybody. But that I don't know. I think that sometimes people like just it's like a subconscious thing that we do. Sometimes we just kind of put out a vibe, or it's like a body language maybe even where people feel like we're like a good ear, like an open ear that they could talk to, someone they could vent to. You know what I mean? And a lot of times people mistake our just not wanting to talk with being good listeners.
Yeah, which I think maybe I am. I wouldn't say maybe I'm a good listener, but It is, yeah. I do think, yeah, because you're not saying anything, so it gives them free reign to just say whatever they want, so
Mm-hmm.
they get to say everything.
Yeah,
So then,
they just talk
yeah,
for 20 minutes straight, and like, man,
and you just like,
this is a great conversation.
I'm
It's
like,
like,
yeah,
oh.
yeah, it is. This is a great one-sided conversation. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's happened to me a lot in my
Yeah.
life. Do you think that ever since you guys have done the show though that you've kind of maybe come out of your shell, so to speak, a little bit?
Um.
Because I know you said
No.
with BlurredCon, you kind of
Yeah.
got forced into that
Yeah. I got
situation.
forced into that. Yeah, I got forced into doing that. No, only because so Domino, I've known, I don't know, since the 4th grade, 5th grade. We can't remember anymore. I've known him for a very long time, so there's that ease of comfort. I mean, we talked about it. Bobby, I didn't. We had a group chat prior, but I didn't meet Bobby until the day we recorded the first episode. So I got lucky, but because I remember I think I had this conversation with my dad because it's a thing. I don't talk and I'm socially awkward. And he's like, "Do the podcast? You can just talk to anybody." I'm like, "No, it is different. Like with you, you're interviewing people. You're changing out guests. Me, I'm interacting with the same two people
Yeah.
for the most part every episode. So there's an ease of comfort with Domino. I know him for a long time. I got lucky. Bobby's really cool, and it happened to work out. But I'm not like we're not talking to new people every day or every episode we do. It's just us. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like I'm not forced to have to like interact with anyone else extra for the most part. When we do interviews, Domino drives the interviews mostly. So like even then, I'm just sort of just sitting there being quiet. you know,
I feel it's tough to interview someone with three people. You know.
it is. And then part of the problem is like he's so used to doing it. He has like
He has his show too.
a focus. I think part of it is he'll either end up asking the question that I wanted to ask, or because he doesn't want to like have too much silent space in between. He sort of it's not rapid fire, but he does. It's like he asks a question, no answer, and he has another question. So it's like finding a space to interject is sometimes hard. So it's like it's a combination of those things. Plus, I don't I don't want to ask something that he's gonna ask, or if he has a plot plan for the conversation, I don't want to like throw that off. But every once in a while I'll throw something in there.
Interviewing, I think, is definitely a skill that you have
Yes.
to work on.
Yeah,
It's fucking hard, man. It's hard sometimes.
I believe you.
Yeah.
I know I couldn't do it.
Listen, some people make it real easy on you, and some
Yeah.
people just, like people like they get nervous. For instance, like
Yeah.
they get like a 3-word answer. And it's like, oh, okay. Next in line, like I'm already on number 67 on this fucking list, and we're only 20 minutes in.
Yeah.
But see,
Hopefully it wasn't that bad.
No. You're doing perfectly fine, bro. The problem is like we were just talking about, like you have a question lined up in your head, and then you say something to continue what's already being said, and then you forgot the question.
Yeah.
Because something I could have stuff written down, but if something pops in my head and then it's gone.
Yeah. It's gone.
It's fuck. So, here we go. Where do you see the show like going? Like ideally for you, like say a couple years down the road, what would you like to see happen with the show?
So
keep in mind,
nice.
I'm a podcaster too, so I kind of think of us as peers. But I started off as a fan of you guys first. You guys were one of the reasons why I started this. So
thank you, appreciate that. So obviously, the obvious would be nice is to make enough outside or income through merch or Patreon or whatever type of stuff to quit my day job. That would be the dream. I'm not holding my breath, and it's not like a mandatory thing, but it'll also be nice to maybe just break even, because you're fortunate. I'm sure because you do it, but you also got fortunate where or maybe not fortunate, you planned it. You have the recording studio in your house. We record in an outside studio that costs money.
Yeah,
we don't make enough money to cover that, which is fine. So that number one would be nice. So for me again, I know Domino, he wants to, he likes the hosting stuff. He likes interviewing. So I know that's the stuff. But for me, like I said, I want to make the content. That's what I like. I love recording the show. I have fun It's one of the few things I do that brings me joy, that I have fun doing. I like recording the Let's Plays. I know we talked about, I don't know, last episode before, that we're going to try to do something for 100 episode where we can try to play with the fans and do stuff like that. Like stuff like that. That's the stuff that I want to do, like having fun, like that stuff. The hosting stuff, not so much a big deal for me. That's not necessarily what I want to do. I really just want to make the content. So anything that can facilitate that is what will hope. And that, that comes with views and money. That's really what it is. Getting more listeners.
It's tough. I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm sure it helps that Bobby has such a big reach on Instagram, but like
it helps, but
a
not as much. Yeah,
like a post doesn't translate into actual listens.
No,
yeah,
because I mean, for fact, like we've had stuff that's done million. Like we have some stupid video on our Facebook page that has like 4 million views. Does not correlate. Yeah, but it's like a dumb meme video, but it doesn't correlate
to the
show. We don't have 4 million. Like, we definitely don't have 4 million listens. Like, I'll tell you that much right now. So there's some weird thing on Tumblr once that got like 500,000 views on something. We had a tweet that it did really well. So that stuff doesn't necessarily correlate to listeners.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also what people are there for Bobby's memes. Like, they're not necessarily there for everything else or what Bobby does. I mean, obviously we definitely got listeners because of Bobby.
You got me from that.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not going to downplay that. And it definitely helps. And it also helps that he has the technical skills to do some of this video stuff that if we didn't have that would have probably made this experience a lot harder than it should have been. So it doesn't necessarily correlate to like, just because he has like 10,000, I think it's like something like 10 or something.
There's 100 something thousand.
100 something, yeah, whatever. I don't look at it, but I know it's a lot, but it's like, I have 400, and he has whatever. So it's like, but it doesn't necessarily correlate to listeners, but it does give us an avenue to post stuff. Like he can post something up there and get a few views, and we might get 1 or 2, and that's how it works. You got to take your time. If you want it to actually work, you just got to work it, right? You got to just keep hopefully the content we make is good, and we'll get people to come and they'll listen and be like, oh, this is funny. I'll follow and I'll do this and I'll show my friends, and then maybe they'll show 20 people. Out of those 20 people, we might get 1, and then now we have 2 listeners now, and that's how you grow.
It's tough, man. It's like a real drag sometimes.
It is a slog.
It takes forever. That's the word I was looking for. Slog. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
It takes a long time, man. I see that myself. Like, it's just we literally have to start from the absolute bottom.
Yeah, especially if you aren't like famous. Like, a lot of the most popular podcasters, they had a second career that involved them having fans already. Yeah, like Joe Rogan's a stand-up comedian, and he's doing the UFC stuff. He was a Fear Factor, like he had, and that's not to take anything away from him. Obviously, he grew it and the content is good, but he had a good base to start with. I like the Joe Budden podcast. He was a rapper. I mean, you can say what you want about his career, however when it went, but he had a base to start with people who want to listen to him, like Bill Burr, Mark Maron, all those people. Like they had core audiences that they translated over to a certain extent, and maybe not their whole audience, but they had a big base to start with.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, L'Oreal from she was on Lip Service with Angela Yee. Yep. Mm-hmm. I remember somebody was asking her, like, how's the most effective way to gain listeners for a show? And she's like, be famous already. Like, that's really all it is at this point, because if you're starting from the bottom, you have both your legs cut out compared to everybody else. And
then especially if you and I can't remember the number, but it's a insane number how many podcasts there are, like in general, like 100,000. I mean, it's probably more than that, but 20 of them are successful, right? Like there's a gap, like, for the amount of podcasts that actually are out there to actually get any traction is very, very difficult.
Well, it's amazing too if you consider how many are out there that don't even really promote anything. Like, they don't use social media to try to to gain listeners and stuff. They just put it out and like, oh, I don't know why people aren't finding it.
Yeah,
You know?
and that's and all that stuff is a trick. Like I don't, it's like you post, but then you don't want to post too much because you want to be shoving stuff down people's throats.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you don't, the algorithms work against you. So like I could post something, but then half my followers won't even see the fucking thing I post. So then what's the point of posting here? But then if I don't, then
I've been finding that recently, like that if you don't post consistently every day, like the algorithm just drops your stuff.
Drops you. Yeah.
So all of a sudden, I might have gotten 100 likes on a little stupid meme, and now I'm getting like 35. I'm like, what the fuck? I still have the same amount of followers.
Yeah, that's why it's sort of fortunate the type of show that we do, so we can just throw up stupid memes on the Instagram, because otherwise we can keep some type of engagement, because we do the show once a week, and instead of having 3 posts about the show every day or whatever, we could just throw a meme out there and like, all right, cool, so we're still getting some engagement, and then we could throw up the information for the show. Yeah, man, this algorithm shit is crazy.
It's fucked up.
We haven't figured it out yet.
Yo, you and me both, buddy.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll get into the last 2 parts of the show. Now, the next part we're gonna do is a brand new segment. So you're gonna be the first guy to do it with me. And we're gonna call it Pod Jobs. Where we just talk about a story from work, maybe like a shitty job we had, or like a crazy story we had, anything, or maybe funny or embarrassing. I don't know. But just something from work. Like, think about it. Like, what's the worst job you ever had? Even like if it's the job you work at, what's the worst thing they assign you to do? Because I remember I've had to do some really shitty things in my day. Like for my job as an electrician, I worked for this one guy one time, and everybody kind of hated him already. Like he wasn't like a guy that everybody had glowing reviews about. Yeah. So, and I was an apprentice, and of course he, for whatever reason, he had a chip on his shoulder about me. So he just made me. We had like a trailer, like those old like C boxes, like the shipping containers. That was our trailer, and it was outside the building. So they were getting rid of it because the building was getting close to done. But we had temporary power run out there, so they had these big like 4-inch pipes that run in the ground into the building. So when we have these 500 MCM wires in there, which are literally like this thick, like it's big copper wire. So and it's only going like maybe 20 feet to the temporary service. But he's like, listen, they moved the trailer. I need you to pull all those wires out of those pipes. I was like, well, how am I going to set it up? Like, normally we have a big machine that pulls everything. It out. Yeah, he's like, no, it's not that long. Do it by hand. And I'm looking at the side of the building. I'm like, that's going to suck, bro. You going to send me anybody to help?
Nope.
He goes, nah, you could do it. And I was like, at the time, like I was in shape. And I was like working out. I'm like, God damn, bro. Like, this is a shit job. Like, you're really trying to fucking stick it to me. So I remember being out there the dead of summer, trying to hump these wires out of the fucking pipe, and they're all when you pull them in, you have to put this lube on them, so it's like this white. It literally looks like jizz essentially, and now, but it's been in there for months at a time, so it's all like black and nasty,
dirty. Yeah,
it's just disgusting. So I'm trying to pull it out by hand with no machine. I'm slipping, getting it all over me, and I'm dying of heat exhaustion. Yeah, that might be the worst
thing you ever had
experience I've had to do. At my current job, at least.
I don't know. I gotta think. I've been pretty fortunate. I've only had a handful of jobs, because if I get a job, I usually keep it. So
good for you.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever had to. I work in a cafeteria, so that's just annoying. I don't know if I can clean it up after people, because I was like a janitor basically. So that's just annoying. I don't think I've had to do anything wild. Used to work in a movie theater, so like cleaning up vomit wasn't necessarily the greatest thing in the world to do. I didn't have to clean bathrooms though, so that's not like so if somebody made some crazy mess, that's on the cleaning people who come in at night to clean. I think the shittiest thing I had to do at my current job, so I work in manufacturing, and we had to move stock. So like it's like boxes, I don't know, they had to be like 20 feet long, full of, I think it's like steel. I don't even know what the fuck was in there. It's like steel. But we had to move it by hand. So it was me and this other guy. So he used the forklift because it was so heavy, he had to use a fucking forklift to pick it up. But because it's so long in the forklift, so he couldn't like use it to actually transport it down the fucking hallway. So he had to put it on like what the fuck would you? I don't know, like dollies or whatever. They're like
Oh, the little roller, the
little roller, yeah, with square, like little square with roller. So
yeah,
one on one side, one on the other side, but it's maybe 2 feet up. The box is maybe like 2-3 feet. So you have to, so basically you're on the floor pushing a box that's fucking, I don't know, fucking 500 pounds, 600 pounds, however fucking many pounds down a fucking hallway. And it was like 13 or 14 of those. That shit sucked dick. Because we was like trying to push it, and like, it's because it was one of the things, like, if it was just like 3 feet high, like, to at least if it was like at least like waist level or something, it'd be way easier because like you're on the, like, you're like in running position, like,
it's just like an awkward,
it'd be
awkward
position, and then you're trying to push it like that and down all fucking long ass hallway. And I'm fat as shit. I'm fucking dying. I'm sweating. I'm like, yo, they do not pay me enough for this shit. I'm quitting after this. They don't fucking pay me. I'm fucking quitting. Fuck this. What the fuck? Then we did it. but you know, but I was like, yo, this fucking sucked. That shit sucked.
I remember when I was an apprentice, my friend AJ, who's been on the podcast, we were working together, and the building we were at was only 4 stories, but so they didn't have like an elevator, like a worker's elevator.
Yeah.
They just had to basically, carry shit up the stairs, or they can get maybe a forklift, to like a lull, to pick it up and get it in on like a balcony. So we got a shipment of BX wire. So it comes in these big, like 500-foot coils, or maybe it's 250. I don't know. But these coils, they're about this big, and you could carry one in each arm. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
But we were working on the 4th floor. So the delivery came in, and there was no lull to pick up the pallet. So my boss was like, "Yeah, just take the other apprentices, and you guys just transport that, all those,
the whole
those
shipment
rolls,
up to
the whole delivery." And it was, of course, summertime, and at the time, like, me and AJ, we weren't exactly fucking, Jack LaLanne disciples.
Yeah.
So we were fucking sucking wind, we were dying, trying to move all the stuff up. We thought at first, we're like, oh, we'd be cool. We're carrying 2 rolls on each hand. After the first one, we're like, fuck this. Like, I need to take a break.
And that's 4 stories. That's 4 flights of steps, up, then down, then up, then down. Yeah.
It got to the point where we got like halfway through, and it was like me and 3 other apprentices.
Just sitting down.
We just sat down in the room.
Yeah.
Like, dead.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So the last part of the show is humble pie. This is like our dessert here. So we're just going to share an embarrassing story. So I'll go first, just so you have a chance to really make sure you're ready. So mine is actually, it could have worked for the pod job story. But my first job ever was at this place called the Bagel Junction. It was in Jersey. And it's just, just a bagel shop. So, and I only worked there every other weekend. So what I did, I worked there. I ended up being there for a little while, and we had a new kid coming in. So the boss was telling me, hey, take him out back, show him where the trash compactor is and everything, so he knows how to, show him how it works. Okay. So me and this kid, we're going out there. I got these bags of trash. I'm throwing them in the compactor, and the thing is like full. So now I got to try to jam the lid down on it, and it won't go. So I'm like, fuck. And he's like, you need help? I'm like, I got this. Watch out. So I climb up on the thing, and I'm trying to like step on it and like stomp it down. And of course, my foot slipped out and I fell. So when I fell off the side, my arm hit the top of it and just went like that. And I don't know what I did, because I never ended up going to the doctor.
Oh shit!
But my shoulder has never been right since, and that was in like high school. Yeah. Like I remember we still played dodgeball back in those days. I couldn't throw the ball anymore. I couldn't do anything with it. Like I was fucked up.
Yeah.
And this kid's watching me. He's like, "Oh, I was gonna help you." I was like, "Yeah, I know." Yeah. And I'm like trying to look cool in front of this guy, and I look like a fucking asshole. And now I'm still paying the price for it.
Yeah, I don't know. I was trying to think. I told the last time we were on the show. I told the story. I think that's probably like
puking in the car.
Yeah, puking in the car. And that's really. I was trying to think. It's like I don't know if I have either I suppressed all of the.
You blocked them out.
Yeah, I just blocked them out. It's like I'm trying. Like I was trying to think of like something that's like really, like I know dumb stuff I've done. I don't know if it's like necessarily the most embarrassing stuff.
Dumb stuff is fine. You don't have to like put yourself completely out there.
I mean, like, so let's see. Well, the dumbest thing I've ever done is kind of. Oh, do I want to tell it? It's not like crazy. Well, it is crazy. Okay. Anyway, so
we can always cut it out later.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because I don't know how like legal, and I don't know if I want that information out in the world. But anyway, so I'm gonna say it, but I might have you cut it.
But thank you for coming on the show, man. Thank you for giving us, your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you for
a
having
lot.
me on. Thank
Hey,
you for
man,
actually
my
wanting to speak to
pleasure.
me. Hopefully
My
the
pleasure.
episode wasn't too bad.
We want to hear about what's really going on with Hesh. I know I want to set the record straight because I know, like you said, sometimes with the social awkwardness stuff and the depression stuff, you play it up more than it really is.
A little bit,
To
a certain extent. I mean, it's real, but I do play it up a bit.
Yeah. Well, we didn't even get into the depression
stuff. Yeah, I know.
So
because I think it's funny. It's not. I don't know if that's the right word.
Well, it's kind of like
I gotta make jokes about stuff. So I don't take things as seriously as I should probably, but I gotta make jokes because I think sometimes I think it's funny just to say stupid shit, but then I know.
Well, sometimes the humor is our defense against the bad feelings,
Yeah, probably.
And a lot of times, we joke about stuff that maybe some people might take serious, and that's some of the things that makes it funnier too. Like, are you serious?
Like, yeah,
I don't know,
kinda, but not really. Yeah.
But I get that. I think some people have a hard time kind of looking at that from the outside.
Yeah.
Listen, this is how I keep myself sane. This is how I keep myself
to a certain extent. Yeah, exactly.
If I can make jokes about it, then it's not really that real,
Yeah.
So
because what's the alternative?
Just be sad all the time, like
super sad all the time. Yeah, no, I make a little joke and keep it moving.
Yeah, you can at least find some joy in that.
Yeah.
Sometimes things really suck, so if you can't at least make jokes, what do you have left?
Yeah.
But anyway,
yes.
We'll save that for another episode.
Oh, you're gonna have me back? Oh Lord.
Oh, listen, man, I gotta have people back at some point. So, but again, Hesh, thank you very much, man.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. All right. Okay, there you have it. That was my conversation with Hesh Jones. Thanks again to him for coming on the show. Make sure you guys go check out his podcast, The Three Ninjas, where he's one of the co-hosts, one of the hosts with him, Domino, and Bobby. If you guys listen to the show, you've heard me talk about them before. I've been on their show. We did a joint one. Good dudes, great content. I can't say enough good things about them. Just make sure you guys go listen, check them out. And wherever you find this show, on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, everywhere you get your podcast, we are there. They are there. Make sure you subscribe to both. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode, our new segment, Pod Jobs. Gonna try to make it a little more fun. Maybe put a little more structure to the show. So I'm trying to potentially do a little overhaul. But make sure you guys reach out to me. Let me know what you think. Other than that, I will see you all next week. Peace.